Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our Dual Language and Biliteracy Programs webinar. My name is Kathleen Jenny. I'm the New York State PTA Programs Coordinator, and I'm just going to go over a couple of quick housekeeping rules. As you may have heard, this meeting is being recorded. The slide deck and recordings will be available on our website, which is newyorkstatepta.org. We ask that you all remain muted. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type your questions into the chat and we will forward them on to our presenters. Also, we will have time at the end for some questions. This evening's webinar is presented by New York State PTA and New York State Department of Education. And it is the dual language and biliteracy programs across New York State is our focus. As I said, my name is Kathleen Jenny, and I'm co-presenting with Bianna DiPina. And unfortunately, Brenda Cardoza has not been able to join us this evening. But I know that we are in excellent hands with Bianna. She is our literacy specialist, queen of everything that has to do with literacy in New York State. She's a mom. She's a worker. She's amazing. Bianna.
Oh my goodness. We should let you introduce Elisa. Thank you, Kathleen, for that. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are so happy you're here with us, and we are so excited. Please grab your notebooks, grab your pens, and be ready to take some notes. With us, the Associate Commissioner for New York State Department of Education. Looking forward to learning a lot from what she has to share with us. Please make sure to use the chat to add your questions. If you have any questions at the end, make sure to email us over at the PTA using the New York State PTA literacy email. And thank you for joining us. Elisa, please take it away.
Well, thank you so much. I am so grateful and appreciate the opportunity. I'm honored to be here with all of you this evening. So folks that are on the call, thank you so much for joining. It's 7 p.m. in the evening and you've made a little space for us. So thank you so much. I'm completely honored to be here. So just to share a little bit about myself before we get started, my name is Elisa Alvarez. I am the daughter of Dominican immigrants, born and raised in Washington Heights. So if I have anyone here from the Heights, hi, thank you for being here. I have been in education for the last 34 years. My specialty is bilingual special education. My entire life has been dedicated to helping and working for children and for the families. So it really is a true honor. As your Associate Commissioner this evening, I was asked to speak to you about dual language immersion. And the question is, what is that really? And I will say, there's a lot to unpack and we're going to have a short time just so I can present it to you and hopefully we can continue the conversation. If any of you have children in dual language immersion programs, I hope that some of what I say resonates. For those of you that don't have a dual language immersion program either in your school or your district, my hope is that you're going to definitely want to go back to your superintendents and have a conversation and say, the state of New York is talking about equity, access, and opportunities and learning languages in an equal manner. So with that, we're just going to get started. So thank you again for allowing me to be here. So let me tell you a little bit about us. I believe we can go to the next slide. Yes, thank you so much. In the 34 years that I've been in this work, my heart and my love is always about our children. They are our most defenseless. They are our most vulnerable gems. And so the photo, the images that we selected, it was with intentionality. We work to make sure that the children have the best opportunity in the day of tomorrow. It means that our work is messy. It means that we can make ourselves uncomfortable. It means that we have to continue to learn to become better for those beautiful faces that you see on that photo. Because in those photos, those are the young adults that are going to be not only taking care of us, but leading us, protecting us, guiding us, and representing us. And then on the other side of the photo, I have the privilege of sitting here with a team of members that help lead the work, some of the work that we do at the State Education Department. Those beautiful faces there are educators from across the state of New York that come together to speak with me and my team on the seal of biliteracy, which you will see during this presentation. There is a direct correlation between the seal of biliteracy and dual language immersion programs, or I should say, between dual language immersion programs and the seal of biliteracy. We can go to the next one, please. So what is that concept that guides our work? What helps us make decisions? What is our vision for this work in the state of New York? And in the state of New York, we have over 2 million children. So that's a lot of responsibility. The hands that you see holding each other there, it's holding one another up, giving each other opportunities. In our work, specifically in the Office of Bilingual Education and World Languages, we focus on helping to raise a society and a culture where multilingualism is accepted and celebrated. There is no reason why having one language should be enough when we are a society. In the state of New York alone, we have over 200 language registered and counting. So why would we not capitalize on the beauty and the assets that the people bring with us? So that was the first item that I shared. Multilingualism is what leads our work. The next item is the intercultural competence. And what does that mean? It's about making connections and being aligned to the abilities to connect with other individuals from different countries, being able to connect with knowledge, being present. It also talks about academic excellence, dual language programs, bilingual education programs. It's a higher level of academic ability. Why? Because our brain is thinking, working, analyzing in 2 or more languages. So imagine the ability and the gains and the challenges that it brings, but the reward is that much better. Cultural interconnections, finding we're all different, we're all vastly different, yet there's always something that connects us. The beauty about language, especially when we're able to communicate with someone else within their language, there's such a level of respect that it allows us to come closer. People always talk about music. It's the cultural connection. Music brings us together. Yes, it does. And the final aspect that guides our work is that we want to make sure that our children are able to participate and have a place and build a foundation, not only in the state of New York, but at a global scale. This way, their options are truly limitless. Our intention is that our children have the ability to select what it is that they want for themselves, and not only that they have to select from what is being told that they can do. No. It's about giving them the abilities to be able to stand wherever it is they so wish, be successful, and most importantly, be happy. So those are some of the guiding factors, and I wanted to share that with you at this moment. The next, I want to speak to you about what is exactly dual language immersion programs. We can go to the next slide, please. I don't know how many of you, I see a small number of you are on the screen. Feel free to use the chat because I would like to have an opportunity where we can hear from you. So even if it's in that manner, I would love to be able to give you an opportunity to express yourself. And we will be able to go back to your chat and your questions and your comments. So this deck that's being prepared will be shared with you, so you at a later time, you can go back to it. So if you want to present this to your school board, please do so. If you want to share this with your superintendent, please do so. With your teachers, or even at your next PTA sessions, please feel free to use this information and reach out to us, and we can continue to discuss further, especially with our friends and our colleagues from the New York State PTA Association. So what are the goals for the dual language immersion program? We want to focus on bilingualism and biliteracy, meaning it is not enough only that our children can speak to us in both languages. I don't know about you. I don't know how many times you have had your own children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews. They can understand the home language. Let's say there's another home language, whether it's Urdu or Italian or Spanish at home, and the grandparents are home, and the kids understand what the grandparents are saying, but they cannot answer. That's not what we're promoting. We want to make sure that our children are able to communicate effectively and fluently, and that they're also able, in terms of literacy, that they dominate that ability of language through literature. The next area of some of our goals is to make sure that our children are able to be successful at grade appropriate levels of need of academic development in both languages. So that our intent is that as both languages, the children are mastering the languages, they're also demonstrating that ability through the content. So if they're presenting a social studies assignment, they can do it, for example, not only in English, but they can present it in Spanish and be graded just the same, because it's just the tool that they wish to use in terms of how it is that they're communicating. The social cultural competence in two languages. There's nothing better than being in a space, you feel like you don't know anyone, and all of a sudden someone is speaking your language. Immediately that apprehension is lowered. You feel that you belong. The language and being able to communicate with someone in another language, it just brings so much comfort, and it brings cultures and society and just people together. There are two different types of dual language immersion programs. The one-way dual language program, where all of the children in that program, let's say, speak Spanish. So every child there is a Spanish speaker. So they learn English and Spanish. At the same time, yes, they have the support, but everyone in that class has the same home language. The two-way dual language program is a mix of students, some who are fluent in English and others that are fluent in Polish, for example. But a dual language program is created so those children are growing together, learning together, but guess what? They're learning English and Polish simultaneously. And that's a two-way program. So one of the questions we wanted to ask you, it's a little hard that I don't get to see you, and I always want things to be interactive, so you stay with me and we can stay engaged. Here's a question I have for you, and feel free to put it into the chat. What does it mean for students to truly learn two languages? What is it that you believe? So as you take a minute to jot that down into the chat, and we'll monitor the chat, we can come back to it later on. Why is dual language? Why are you interested in dual language? You came to this session and to this presentation. There's a reason why you're here. So far, what I've mentioned to you, does it resonate with you? What else would you say is so important about dual language? Is dual language something that you would promote? Is there something that worries you about dual language? some of the myths, and we can talk about it a little later on. People feel that, oh, presenting two languages at the same time, then one language is going to suffer. No, it's a myth. It's about it's about how it is and making sure that we have appropriate certified folks designing units of study and giving children ample opportunity to share the language together. And that can be done in different formats. I don't know if a message was on. Okay. Thank you, Charlene. Value and connection with the world. Yes, now more than ever. We still have something called the United Nations, meaning we need to know each other's languages. We will be starting moment. Okay, sorry. Why is dual language important? Give us your answer below. A sense of belonging. Yes, absolutely. You know, the hardest thing I will share with you, my oldest son at a certain age in his life, I promise you, he woke up one day. We're fluent in Spanish at home. Woke up one day and he just began having fluency issues. He was stuttering. He was absolutely stuttering. And the first thing in my mind as an educator is like the minute our kids have, there's a difference or there's a need, it's not easy for them, right? So language as a sense of belonging is the one thing that unites our kids. I say this often and I joke. Ben Affleck, the actor, everyone loves when Ben Affleck speaks Spanish. He sounds so amazing. Oh, how is he speaking so beautifully? Well, it's because of the respect he's giving the people who speak Spanish. And even Spanish has different dialects and from different Central South America and the Caribbean. It's all different, slightly different, but it's Spanish. And it's just an example. Everyone all of a sudden feels that they gravitate towards that actor. It's the same thing that happens with our kids when they are in a new school, when they go to a new year, when they're in a new program or a new child arrives. So whoever wrote that, a sense of belonging, thank you. Dual language education, such as the way it's done at Seymour Dual Language. Oh my gosh, who knows about Seymour Dual Language? I love Seymour Language Academy. That principal is an absolute, not only champion, but courageous. See, this work is about being courageous because it's not something that's easy to do. Thank you for that. And thank you for mentioning Seymour. Thank you so much. All right, we can go to the next slide. I already love all of you. Thank you for interacting and for sharing your thoughts. So here we'll go a little deeper. Thank you. It is fantastic. Why does it matter for your child? And we added a document here. One of the books that we use by Thomas and Collier is one of the research items that we use. So here's the beauty. Everything we present at State Education, it is research based. It has to have a foundation. It has to have evidence that it's going to benefit children. So this is one example of so many that you can use that speaks to why is dual language immersion programs a benefit for our children, right? You talked about the global impact. It opens up the markets, it opens up the opportunities, and it is true. It is true because it provides them different level of access to engage in various companies. Not only that they have to work here in the United States, they can work anywhere if they know the language, right? Stronger academic outcomes. We are doing everything possible to track the evidence of student performance that compares students who are in a dual language program are much more likely to be successful and continue to college. Our children, we always talk about, we want our children either to be college or career ready. And careers are wonderful, right? But for our children, having that piece of paper, either for a 2 or 4 year college, it means a lot. It means a lot. It's a huge accomplishment, especially when the child already has a different home language. That's what I'm really focusing on. Stronger academic outcomes, we're trying to receive the data, and we will be sharing some of that information with you. The difficulty in grabbing the data is not every district across the state of New York, and we have 733 districts, if I'm not mistaken. So not every district has a dual language immersion program. Not everyone has wrapped their arms around dual language immersion programs. Is that my goal? Yes, it is my goal. Improves innovation and creativity in complex environment. One of the things we desperately cannot lose is the creativity and ingenuity of our children. Speaking and thinking in other languages, learning of other cultures, it opens up your mind and you don't remain narrow focused. Doesn't mean that if you only know one language and you're monolingual, you can't be creative. That is not what I mean. But the opportunities when your brain is functioning in two or more languages is proven, based on research, that it improves innovation and your creativity. We spoke about career. Think about the brain. The beauty about our brain is that the brain expands. The more if I can say, it's like a muscle. So the more you use it, the stronger it becomes, the more flexible it becomes. You introduce the languages, they say that the brain just expands in such a way that it opens, and imagine like something is flowing, right? And so it's easily absorbs information and it's able to help the child connect with others. I spoke about earlier about the connection with the grandparents. When the children can understand them, but they can't speak to them, that's not a strong connection. What designs who we are is our cultural backgrounds, our history. And so knowing additional languages and being immersed in dual language immersion programs, it definitely helps make sure that we can continue the not just the connection, but knowing who we are and understanding our past and understanding. There are many children that will say, I need to learn who I am. I know that I am Dominican, but I've never even visited there. But I will tell you, once they start, and if they're immersed in a dual language program, they start learning Spanish and they're engaged and are studying culture, they start becoming, their identity is strengthened. It's when they don't know their identity, they don't know their culture, they don't know their past, that there's always something missing. So that's the beauty about this. And most importantly, the last comment on this slide, and I'll start going a little faster. I have many slides for you. This one I want you to please focus on. It promotes inclusion of historically marginalized communities. And why am I saying that? I want to be really specific. Dual language programs provide a way, especially for our newly arrived immigrant students, to have a place to belong. Whether they're speaking Ukraine, Polish, Spanish, Urdu, doesn't matter. Haitian Creole, doesn't matter. But all of our children that arrive, they arrive for different circumstances, but they're not always understood. And when you're in a school that welcomes diverse communities and offers a dual language immersion program, I just want to say thank you to that school board and to the superintendent, to the teachers and the educators of that space, because they have made them feel that they belong. All right, we can go to the next one. We'll move a little faster, I promise. I also have a little video for you, but I want to be able to share. In this slide, I think you can see this for yourself. I don't know if we have any more comments here, but what is it that the children take away? So instead of me identifying each and every one of these bullet items, you can see that for yourself. But I want you to take a look at this question. How might two or more languages shape your child's future? Really, if you promote dual language programs, if you've been on the fence and a little bit as you're hearing this, or you have your children engaged in dual language programs, how do you think that helps mold their future? So we can come back to that as I give you a minute to engage and give me some of your thoughts. Careers, yes, Brenda, thank you. See, we talk to our children and we say to our children, you can be anything you want to be. You can be an actor, you can be a dancer, you can be a sports commentator. Not everyone has to be an athlete. You can be a sports commentator. You can be a videographer, you can be a photographer. And guess what? All of those careers, if all of those professions give you, and I'm going to use Vienna's comment, options, gives you options, and you can travel the world because you're able to communicate and you're going to be sought more. Yes, it provides access. Absolutely. Ji Zhang, so I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly, forgive me, cultural ambassador. And we need so many more. And we need so many more. I will share with you one of the things that we're doing in terms of making sure we reach as many folks as we can. We're going to start a teacher leadership consortium for teachers who teach Mandarin. Why? Because we want to make sure that our teachers have all the support that they have. And if we're promoting and speaking about dual language programs, we have to continue to address the languages as best possible that we have. It is whoever wrote from New York State PTA, better access to opportunities for higher education. We need our children to continue their education. We really do. We need them in position as decision makers. You know, it's very hard if we don't have folks that look like us seated in positions to help make decisions for our communities, then we're at a deficit. Dual language immersion programs address our community as an asset and not as a deficit. The next one, I want to share with you a little video, and it's a few minutes. So I hope we can play this. I'll be silent. Please give me a thumbs up or just enter into the chat if you hear it. We're going to try to play it now. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear it?
Yes. Thank you, Nick.
Here in Schenectady, we believe in giving our students a world of opportunity through language. We are thrilled to grow that legacy by welcoming a brand new dual language program at Page Elementary School.
A dual language program empowers students to build strong skills in two languages while they build the necessary social competence that helps them to thrive in a global society.
Beginning next fall at Page Elementary School, we are starting a two-way dual language program where we will model 50% English and 50% Spanish allocation, meaning students will receive instruction in both languages.
Each classroom will include both native Spanish speakers and native English speakers, creating an environment that encourages peer collaboration, cultural exchange, and reciprocal learning.
Students who join the program in kindergarten will continue in this model through 5th grade and will seamlessly transition into additional world language offerings as they progress through their time in the district.
So by the time these students are seniors, they will be completely fluent and literate in both Spanish and English and can earn their seal of biliteracy. So these multilingual learners will be recognized for these achievements at graduation.
When students learn both the language and the cultures that shape it, they develop a richer perspective of the world. A dual language program empowers them to build strong bilingual and biliterate skills, appreciate diverse communities, and grow into confident, culturally aware learners.
We are committed to providing all students with equitable, high-quality learning opportunities as they grow into culturally competent members of our community.
The best gift you can give your child is the gift of bilingualism, and that starts here at the Schenectady City School District.
Thank you so much for allowing us to share this video. The courage of the superintendent from Schenectady that you saw there towards the end, he was the gentleman that also participated in this production. It just speaks such respect for their community. Creating dual language programs are not easy. Sustaining them are not easy. It is a lot of work. But every single thing that they said, or some of the points that I was speaking to you about, Nick, we can go to the next slide, and I can speak to it regardless. And we'll just stop here for a second. But there's nothing better than what you saw straight from the mouths of the administrators, the body of teachers, and seeing the children engage. And if you heard when they said that they were starting a 50-50 model, 50% in English, 50% in Spanish. And let me just make something clear. It can look many different ways. One of the things I love about dual language programs, the 50-50 model, is that the two-way bilingual program, excuse me, is that at this moment in time, as I'm speaking to you in English, de repente comienzo a hablar en español y seguimos la conversación. No sé cuánto de ustedes habla español, pero era para demostrar. And then simply I can switch back to English. So it's structured, but it gives children an opportunity to allow just the ability to flow in speech and in communication and in skills. It doesn't mean that they're repeating what they learned or what I was speaking to you, for example, when I started speaking to you in English, I did not repeat it in Spanish. I continued my thought. So that's just one example I wanted to share with you. It is so cool. Thank you so much, Kathleen, for making that comment. I hope next time I have one for Seymour Academy. We're really pleased with them as well. I know it's hard work and they're doing the best they can. So the state of New York was recognized about 2 years ago when the federal government still had the Office of English Language Acquisition. Unfortunately, it is now dismantled by this new administration at the federal government. We're sure it'll come back because there's such a need and they did beautiful work. Now, 2 years ago, we partnered with the Office of English Language Acquisition and 4 other states, including California and Texas. And the reason we partnered with them was because we wanted to be able to communicate what was most effective about dual language programs. And we called it a playbook. See, because none of these formats or formulas look the same. But we did start analyzing and visiting each other's state to look at how these programs were being presented. And we found not only did we learn a tremendous amount from each other, but we also learned what connected us. It was love and respect for differences in culture and language. That was the most important one. It was our love for our children and our families, and thinking about how to find a way to make sure that they have a space in our districts and in our schools to feel that they belonged. As a result of all the work and the sharing and analyzing the work, researching the work, sharing with each other the challenges that we did have with dual language programs and why it looked so different, we were able to create it and contribute to this playbook called Dual Language Immersion Playbooks. There's a beautiful section. This specifically, if you take your phone and open up the QR code, I don't know if we could do it here, Nick. It takes us to an area that's called Family and Community Engagement. I don't know if we can go there or we can enter it. You can use it with your phone or at some point. Oh, thank you, Kathleen. I see that you opened it up. You added the link there. So please feel free to open that up and you will see it takes you directly to the portion that speaks to families, because families are an important part of making these decisions if we're going to have the dual language immersion programs in your district or not. If it's a good space, if it's a good fit, if you're willing to try. Here's the thing about dual language programs. There has to be a commitment. It can't be that you fall in love with it, right? Or the school district falls in love with it for a moment and then phases it out. There will come challenges, but it's about being committed and staying with it. Okay, we can go to the next one. I want to tell you a little bit about the initiatives from OELA that allowed us to be part of that work. Was when Dr. Miguel Cardona was the Secretary of Education, the first Latino Puerto Rican to hold that position in Washington. And so his mantra was being bilingual is a superpower. And why was he saying that? I don't know about your experiences, but growing up in Washington Heights, speaking Spanish at home, being dominant in Spanish first, being an English language learner because I learned English in school, I was not received as if Spanish was my superpower, as if being bilingual was a superpower. On the contrary, it was, don't use your language here, put that away, and it's going to be English only. Well, that is not what we're speaking of. In the state of New York, we talk about welcoming all languages. And so we adopted what Dr. Miguel Cardona mentioned, and we say being bilingual is a superpower. You can think, act, demonstrate creativity in various languages. You can achieve beyond what others can. Think about this for a second. When you go to a doctor, I don't know about you, but I love to select that the doctor speaks various languages. It's not that I need them to speak Spanish, but I feel so much comfortable when they do. I take care of my parents. When I go to a doctor, even though I'm with them, I want the doctor also to be able to speak Spanish. I look for doctors and specialists that can speak Spanish because I want them to feel comfortable. I want my parents to feel seen and heard. So just hold on to that for a quick second. I want my parents to feel seen and heard by looking for a medical practitioner that speaks their language. Para cuando mi papá hable en una forma, él quiere que se lo repitan, se lo dicen en español, él lo capta y se siente más cómodo. He feels seen. So the fact that my father can have that interaction with the medical practitioner, it eases his fears because every time we go to the doctor, it's not always, there are little nerves in there. So that's the same that we think about our children. All right. Diversified, bilingual, multilingual educator workforce. We definitely need more educators that reflect all the languages that we're speaking about. Are there resources for families who want to fight to maintain their dual language programs? I love that question. The families want the program, but the Board of Ed and new superintendent are not on board or communicating with families despite the support of families. 63% Latino, district eliminating their 50-50 immersion program. Okay, that's a perfect one to tackle. Let me begin by saying this. The first thing you need to do is that you need to be present and bring in a few parents and organize and be present at the school board meetings and remain, because they have public comment. And then when public comment finishes, many families leave. I know sometimes it's very late, but it's important when you stay, because you see, the school board members start speaking and the superintendent starts speaking about their plans and their intentions. So I would begin by saying, yes. And also when you attend, please know you can speak in your language. Whatever is your home language, you do not have to speak English if it's not your most comfortable language, right? Everyone is afforded a translator. But to answer your question, what are the resources? The resources are some of the evidence that I just placed here. You can go, the website and the QR code and the link that was provided. There's research by the state and federal government, by us as the state and the federal government, that speaks to why this works and why this should be evident. Then whoever wrote there, 63% are Latino families in the district. Start looking at the numbers and the data. That's going to be super important. When your district says, well, it doesn't work, well, why? Why are you saying it doesn't work? If the families want a dual language immersion program, there needs to be a discussion. There needs to be transparency. I said before, it's not easy to begin this program, but it takes steps. But once you have a program, and here Charlene just mentioned that they want to dismantle, they want to eliminate. The question, Charlene, is school board superintendent, what's the rationale for dismantling the program? What's the hardship? Okay, that's the hardship. Can we talk about other options other than dismantling the program? It's the same, a little bit the same as if they're going to remove, all of a sudden they say they don't have funding for the arts and they're just going to remove the programs. Well, guess what? It's not legal to remove arts programs. It's part of the curriculum. It has to live somewhere. The issue that what I'm trying to do is make sure folks understand that we create a policy that strengthens and supports and protects dual language immersion programs. What protects it is knowing the data, what the families want, and the fact that the research says that this works. Okay? And there's so much more. Feel free to reach out to my office directly, and we'd be happy to support you in having these conversations. One of the things I love to do is with the community, bring them together. Sometimes it's just about misunderstanding or miscommunicating. The most important thing is to think about the future of our children. Dual language immersion programs have to be one of the responses to the future of our children. The commissioner has this really important initiative called Portrait of a Graduate. And all it means is that we have a responsibility to look at the child as a whole package, not individual in bits and pieces, and looking at them as a whole that's going to create them to be and help them to be the best version of themselves when they graduate high school from us. So by the time they graduate high school from the state of New York, they should be so successful, they can go anywhere. And if a student is receiving an education in upstate, way upstate, let's say Buffalo, New York, it should be the same type of education they receive in the Hudson Valley area, in Yonkers, in Middletown, in Kingston School District. It doesn't matter because our standards are the same for every child. Okay. New York, just to share this with you, we were one of only of 5 states in total that were selected to participate in this work. And if you go on the link, you'll be able to see some of what we were able to create. We can go to the next one. This might be of interest to you. See, we talk about the science of reading. And if you wish to add that link also as well, for that you can look at it afterwards. The science of reading for multilingual learners is very different and is very specific for our children who have home languages other than English. Why is it that I'm so in love with this work, besides the fact that it's our passion in our work in our office, is that we've collaborated across states for this work. There's a section, not only that it talks about how is it exactly that children develop language. Well, guess what? Moms and dads and grandparents on the call, language is developed first by you. When the mom is carrying the baby, when the father's singing to the baby, my husband would always sing. He just loves to sing. He just doesn't know he can't sing, but we're not going to tell him that. But it happens in the home. That's where language develops. When the grandma is singing either the old songs, I don't know what the exact term is, the nursery rhymes or baby songs, we would say hymns, whatever the grandma or the mother is singing or the father to the baby, language develops at home. So there's a section of this work that speaks to family, understanding and knowing who the child is. But in order to know the child, we need to know the family and have conversations with the family. All of this is tied in together. And it speaks about how do you develop the love of language and of reading and of literacy, of writing, all the concepts that they need. So this is one major work that we have published and that we're bringing across the state of New York. And this is also used in our dual language programs. It's also being used, guess what, which I'm so happy about. In many of our programs and our partners with some universities, they are using this work. They're using this work to help prepare our teachers of tomorrow to work with our children who have diverse languages. And I'm so proud of that. All right, we're going to share something else with you. We're going to go a little quickly because I know time is running out. So in the work that I shared with you on the science of reading, there's one section that's super important that I was mentioning to you about. If you see this photo, this speaks to the heart of the work. And in dual language, this is key. None of this work can happen unless we're having conversations with our families and the student together. There's no one that knows the child better than the parent. And that's something we have to come back to and make sure that we respect and give the parents a space to speak to us about the child. Yes, but dual language programs should also be inclusive of our students who have an individualized educational plan. That is also something else that we need to continue to address together. Now, students who have an individualized educational plan, we have to be respectful and make sure that they have the supports they need to be successful. It doesn't mean we limit them or say that they cannot participate. Once in having conversations with the families, with the child, and with the educators of the school, it's about building those opportunities, creating those dual language immersion programs that are inclusive also means being inclusive of a student who has an IEP. Now, remember, when I started, I said to you, I am a licensed bilingual special education teacher. So therefore, I'm always going to say yes to that opportunity. Yes. If anyone says to you, hey, you know, Mom, I'm sorry, but your child needs an individualized educational plan. They have special needs. So please don't speak to them in Spanish at home. That is not an individual I want you to listen to. That is incorrect. And why am I telling you? Because that's what they told me. And can I tell you a secret? They didn't even know I was a principal at that time. And I said, I think you're saying that to the wrong person. And what research makes you say that to me? If anything, developing the language at home strengthens their ability to connect the second language that they need to develop. It's about development. We can go to the next one. I spoke to you a little bit about the portrait of a graduate. And this is exactly, these are just 5 points that I want to share here with you that I selected, but you will notice that there are 6 different items on this wheel. This wheel is the new direction where the commissioner, Dr. Betty Rosa, and by the way, I don't know, Vienna, if after this communication, you can add the parent newsletter that the commissioner provides. I think that might be a good link and for our families. But I just added 5 different points in terms of the portrait of a graduate. If you notice, in every single item that I documented here, it's about language. And this only gets better when they know more than one language, about accepting their language for those that already come with another language from home. Students prepare for the future. Students work well with their peers and others. It's everything that you've mentioned. There was a comment here. I want to be able to, so sorry they told you that. Yes. But that's okay. And then what I realized, let me tell you what I realized. When I walked in as a parent and I realized that they had that misinformation, I made sure I reached out to other families in the town to make sure that they were not being given the wrong information. And that's how we advocate for each other. All right, we can go to the next slide. When I said to you in the beginning, dual language immersion programs lead to the seal of biliteracy. Let me tell you why this seal is so beautiful. This seal allows your child, it says, I am absolutely certified that I can speak 2 or more languages. They can receive the seal in Spanish, French, Urdu, Pashto, Italian, Mandarin, whatever language they wish to study. We now have children that have earned the seal in 4 languages. 1 student in 4 languages. Is that not our next diplomat? Absolutely, I hope so. We actually took that student 2 years ago to meet Miguel Cardona in Washington, D.C., and a number of other people during the work we were doing with the OELA organization to celebrate how New York State was promoting language development. It's not only 2 languages. We will accept and provide the child with access to how many languages that they so wish. The seal of biliteracy, let me tell you why it's also even more impressive. We have been working with city universities, and there's some city universities right now, and there's some other universities across the state that accept this seal of biliteracy that your child received in high school when they graduated, because they receive a medal and they receive an affixed stamp on their diploma. They can earn anywhere from 6 to 10 college credits. Did you hear me? 6 to 10 college credits. That is huge. The more credits your child receives before they go into college, the faster they leave and the faster they begin their careers and their profession. Also, I want to say with that, for those of you that have children in high school, please note that advanced placement courses, you want to ask your child, are you signed up to take any advanced placement courses? Are you getting college credit for that? That's what you want your child in. And when your children are in dual language programs, more children who are in dual language programs do so much better and are easier to take advanced placement courses and be successful and earn college credit before they even walk into college. So hold on to that thought for me. All right. The next item is I want to speak to you very quickly. We have tried our best to make sure we communicate with the field, and I'm going to ask all the families here to take this, use the QR code, go onto our website. Biena, if you want to put the link on the chat, we want to make sure our families know that we safeguard the rights of our immigrant scholars. Every child here is to receive a fair education like everybody else. There should be no question about where were you born. They are not allowed to ask, where were you born? They're not allowed to ask for that. What our schools are asked to do is receive the children and the families, provide them with an education, and provide them with all the supports and services that they need in school and out of school, point them in the right direction. There are community-based organizations that will also support any transition. So our website has this in about, I don't know how many languages that we translated this into 12 languages. Thank you. It's right there. We translated this document that the commissioner created in 12 languages, and we made it very simple. Students in the state of New York have the right from age 5 to 21 to go to a free and public school and receive an education regardless of immigration status. And just that alone, I wanted to share with you. The next one is, we'll go to the next slide as we're starting to end. The parents have rights, and we have made sure that we provide a hotline, and there's a Bill of Rights that was created and is led by my office to let the families know. It's also translated in various languages. Please use that hotline because it's confidential. We will get back to you. We will speak to you if you need us to intercede in any manner. And so it's there for you. If you need translators, we are also able to provide translators. Thank you, Brenda. It is. The next one is our resources. Like the commissioner, we have a newsletter, and there's the commissioner's family newsletter for your review. And I share that with you because not only do we address our administrators, our school board members, and our superintendents and provide the best we can for our teachers, but we also always want to be conscious and communicate with our families. So if there's something in the newsletter that you find important, let us know, call us up, send us an email in any language, porque nos puede mandar en cualquier idioma. Recibimos su información, entonces así sabemos lo que ustedes desean. Si hay algo en la publicación que ustedes dicen que falta, entonces avísenos, que también lo podremos hablar. So if there's something that's missing in the newsletter, feel free and comfortable enough to reach out to us and say, hey, I really would like to learn a little bit more about this. The next slide is, here's what I need your help with, because I can't do this by myself. I do travel across the state, as many of my colleagues, speaking to the work that we're doing, trying to listen to what's happening. But the conversation, just like the question was asked on the chat, what do you do to help your district so they stop dismantling dual language immersion programs? I need you to talk to your school board and your superintendent about the possibility of starting and sustaining a dual language programs. But the conversation has to start with your parents and your families. Bring and invite guests to your sessions, just like this platform. So I'm so grateful to my colleagues that they've invited me here. But what else can you do? I need you to support our children, our newly arrived Americans, our newly arrived immigrant families, our newly arrived multilingual learners. So that our children, even if they're born here, but they speak another language at home, we don't want them to be ashamed of speaking their language. We want them to be proud of who they are. There are many children who are heritage speakers. So I'm a heritage speaker because I was born here. But Spanish is my first language. I dream in Spanish. It is my first language. But I need your help. Our children are sometimes ashamed of speaking their language because they feel that they're different. I need your help letting them know language is beautiful. We embrace you. We want you to speak your language. And speak up and advocate for equity at the school meetings. I need you to voice your concerns for those that are afraid to speak, for those that are not comfortable to speak. I need you to be their voice. So with some of the other slides like I've done with you before, the question is, what is one action that you feel that you can take as you hear this? So as we continue, enter that into the chat. And as we start coming to a conclusion, think about that. But it is important not only to hear a presentation, but is there something you can take away? Is there something you can do tomorrow with your school? I know schools are ending, but guess what? Schools are already planning for next year. They're planning. So I'm going to leave you with this by Dr. Miguel Cardona, because I mentioned him before. He was the first Puerto Rican Secretary of Education that represented us in Washington. Being bilingual and bicultural, am as American as apple pie, rice, and beans. I have to tell you honestly, I love them both. So I just want to thank you for giving me the time and the opportunity. Nick, we can remove the slide and go back. There are references for your that you can use as we share the deck with you. And there's also a page that shares my email where you can reach out to us directly, the email to the parent hotline, and also the Regional Bilingual Education Resource Networks are a group of amazing folks and specialists that work in your area. Whether you're in Rochester or you're in Brooklyn, there's a team of folks on that link that can help you in anything that you need for the education of your child. So thank you so much for giving me the time and the opportunity to join you today. And again, I want to publicly thank my colleague Nick, who joined me this evening to bring this presentation to you. So thank you so much, everybody. I don't know if you have any questions, and we're at time. I don't see any other questions on the chat, but I'll just turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. That was incredible. I think we can have a whole day talking about this. This is so important, so powerful, so informational. I think, if anything, what we can do is share with everyone that attended today, just share what the call to action, right? And just understanding that some of us are more vocal than others, some of us are more outgoing than others. So what can we do to bring bilingual education, just dual education to our districts? So thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining us. We will continue this conversation. We invite you to join us at our summer leadership conference, July 18th. Before we move on, thank you, Kathleen. What would I do without you? Kathleen, thank you. Questions are there? I jump over the questions. I got so excited for a moment there. Are there any questions, any statements, any feedback you want to share with our assistant commissioner, with everyone in the meeting right now. You can unmute yourself, share your feedback, share your comments.
Hi, Deanna. This is Brenda Cardoza. Thank you so much for putting this together. I know you and I were supposed to collaborate, and I just been following along. But you know what I'm going through, and it's just, I'm here because I this is just so important. I really wanted to support you because I am a big believer of dual language program. And and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think sometimes people kind of emphasize that it's the Spanish to English thing, but I think dual language is any language. Is that correct? I mean, I just don't want to make the assumption, but because people say, oh, it's only Spanish, but that might not be the case. It's other languages. We're embracing other languages because we're such a melting pot of so many children with they could be first American generation Americans, but their parents might, have, be able to speak different languages. And, to the many families that I've worked with here in the Yonkers Public Schools, I encourage them, speak to them in your language at home. Don't let it lose it. I have 4 children. My oldest, fortunately, she went to school in Puerto Rico. So she's able to read it, write, and speak it. But my 3 younger ones don't have, the Spanish piece. And let me tell you, to this day, I get heat from the kids. They're like, Mom, you never taught us Spanish. So please, 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 support the dual language program. You don't have to be a native speaker. An extra language means extra pay, extra opportunity, for you and your family. So thank you, Bianna, for bringing this here, and Kathleen, and, everybody that pulled this together.
If I may make a comment, Brenda, I celebrate Yonkers. They were extremely courageous. They opened up the Sonia Sotomayor Dual Language School. To open up a school dual language, that's making a statement. So thank you and your district for being bold. Vienna, you also mentioned, like, what can we do? I'm vocal. What else can we say? In our lives as educators, we've always been told, extend your hand and bring someone with you. Bring them with you. And so therefore I would say, look to those that need your voice, meet with them, hear them, and then help advocate for them. There's a lot of misconceptions and things that will be said to the challenges of dual language immersion programs. It's not that it's not correct in its entirety. It is not easy. However, if you want a quality education, and Brenda said it, you don't have to be bilingual, but we do have heritage speakers. This was specifically designed to make sure we had a place for our immigrant children. Let's be honest. That's the real reason we wanted them to have a space. So why in the state of New York, where we have over 200 languages, where we have over 2 million children who speak so many languages, why would we not do that? Our responsibility as educators is to give them the best that they can so they can compete in the day of tomorrow. Why would we not do that? We need to find the right information. So Bianna, next time you go someplace, you're at a school board, and you're hearing something, bring families with you and help advocate for them. And the reality is, ask the superintendent and the school board, engage them in a conversation and let them know the state is promoting dual language immersion programs for our children, especially our multilingual learners, especially our English language learners. Are we doing that? Can we talk about that? What would it take? What do you need? And then working hand in hand with the district would be a blessing for our children. Thanks.
It's Alvarez. I just wanted to share that 2 of the Sonia Sotomayor PTA officers are actually, they participated. So Nina and Maria, joined this presentation. So thank you for giving them a shout out.
And I didn't even know that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you see, the universe is working to do its thing. Okay. So if there's no additional questions, we will share again the slides with you. Thank you again for joining us this evening. Before we leave today, I want to remind you to join us for Summer Leadership conference, July 18th to the 20th, we will unveil the new PARP logo. Yay! Please join us for that. It's really exciting. And we will have other PARP super awesome news that I cannot share as of yet. But please join us July 18th to the 20th. And we look forward to seeing you. If you have any additional questions as it relates to tonight's presentation, please send us an email. Please reach out to us. And again, the presentation and the slides will be available on our website at newyorkstatepta.org, on our YouTube channels, and we'll share everything with everyone who signed up for tonight's presentation. Thank you again. Have a great night. Have a great rest of your week, and be safe. Thank you, everyone.